The U.S. government is taking notice of AI and its impact on jobs in the American workforce. Just this week, a new bipartisan bill was proposed. The AI-related Job Impacts Clarity Act was brought by Democratic Senator Mark Warner and Republican Senator Josh Hawley. But this is what we should be asking. Why is this so big and so important that Democrats and Republicans can agree on it? I didn't think Democrats and Republicans could agree on anything. But on AI and jobs, they can. But hold that thought. We'll get back to that in just a moment. First, let's take a look at what this bill is. So, this bill would require publicly traded companies, some private companies, and federal agencies to submit quarterly AI reports. Now, these reports would detail job losses, new hires, reduced hiring, and other significant workforce changes due to AI. These reports would be submitted to the Department of Labor, and the data would be compiled and become publicly available. At least that's what they say, right? They'll give us the data. Now, Senator Warner said that this bipartisan legislation will finally give us a clear picture of AI's impact on the workforce. And armed with this information, we can make sure AI drives opportunity instead of leaving workers behind. Makes sense. It makes sense. One of the things, and we'll get to that in a moment, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about on the channel is it really AI? Is it a smokescreen? Hold on thought. We'll get right to that in a minute. Because I believe there's something deeper behind the bill. Something that can give us as men an edge in what is coming. Because knowing that something's coming before it happens is power, boys. And the goal of this channel is to help men like you and me remain relevant, respected, and financially free in the AI world. The world is changing so fast, guys. We need to be keeping up with this stuff. It's so important if we're going to feed ourselves, our friends, our families. Knowing is power. Knowledge is power. And by the way, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I'm bringing you a fresh video Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week, fresh video on AI, the jobs market, and how it impacts you. So smash subscribe. So before we get to the secret sauce, why this is all happening, why this bill is being proposed, why Democrats and Republicans can actually agree on something, let's talk about the timing, okay? October was a particularly bad month, and I actually covered this in a video. I'll share a link to the video here. Layoffs hit 153,000 jobs lost, according to Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. Love that name, Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. This is a 175% increase from October of 2024. And by the way, this is the worst jobs month in October in 22 years. And what was the primary reason for this? AI was cited as one of the primary drivers, specifically in tech, warehousing, HR, logistics, middle management, etc. It is a big, big driver. Again, I recorded a video on what happened in October. Watch that video here for more details. But in fact, when you look at 2025 has not been a kind year to employees and to workers. In the US, employers have announced nearly 1.1 million job cuts in 2025. Guys, that's a 65% increase from last year. Now, government jobs made up a big part of that. There were 300,000 jobs removed in 2025, and that's a 716% increase from last year. Why? Doge came in, Elon came in, and they cleaned house. I actually recorded an entire video on that too. I'm referencing some videos, guys, because if you've been here, if you've been watching the videos, you would know this stuff is happening before everyone else does. In any event, we cover that here. And by the way, just as another quick side note, I was actually big time pro removing glut waste, taking out the kitchen sink, as it were. There's so much waste. I think that's something that we can all agree on, guys, is that the government wastes a lot of money. Right? The government wastes a lot of money, and sometimes you need to cut the fat. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there's people within that 300,000 that are valuable, and my hope, my prayer is that they're gonna have the skills, they're gonna have the knowledge, they're gonna have the relationships to find new positions. And I think that most of them will find their feet. Regardless, when we look at who was fired up to this point this year, government jobs were a big piece, 300,000. Tech, also big, 140,000 jobs lost in tech. That's up 17% from last year. Get this stat, warehousing, 90,000 jobs lost in warehousing. That is up 378% from last year. Now, on one hand, I think that AI and automation play a role in that. We've covered Amazon implementing hundreds of thousands of robots in their warehouses and logistics. So AI and automation and robotics do play a role in that. But quite frankly, tariffs play a role in that too. I know some people, my uncle specifically, was really hurt by tariffs. So the tariffs, not exactly great for jobs in warehouses, but robots don't make it easier to hire humans either. Retail, 88,000 jobs fired. That is up 145% from last year. So that's a huge, again, everything costs more, guys. It would answer me this, riddle me this. You know, when you go to the store and you buy groceries, doesn't it seem like everything is more expensive? Everything is more expensive. In fact, I covered a video just a few days ago about Chipotle. Chipotle stock has cratered this year. The stock is down 45%. And again, there's multiple factors, but the bottom line is the core demographic, people making $100,000 a year, they don't have money to spend on $15 burritos. Robots don't buy burritos, okay? So inflation, robotics, job loss, it's all kind of swelling up. It's all kind of swelling up. And again, this is why it's important for guys like you and me to stick together, to understand what's happening. And that's why we have this channel. And by the way, if you want to go one step further, subscribe to my newsletter, aiupdate.ai. It's completely free. I'm not trying to sell you my course or anything like that. I don't have any course to sell you. I just want you to remain relevant, respected, financially free. As men, we got to watch out for each other. Big things coming. Guys, I don't need your money. I'm the CMO for a SaaS company. I've got other clients that we do production for. I do consulting. So I don't need your money. I want you to survive and thrive. All right? That's it. So subscribe to the newsletter, aiupdate.ai. I'm going to share the best stuff that I learned over the week, and I'm going to share stories from people just like you there as well. Okay, so let's get back to that first thought. I know you've been holding it. I know you've been waiting. Why do Democrats and Republicans agree on this? And I'm first going to cover what they say the reasons are and what the main reasons are, and then I'm going to tell you what the real reason is, okay? I'm going to tell you what the real reason is. And by the way, if you disagree, put it in the comments below. So one of the reasons, jobs for their regions. Why do politicians get hired? It's because they create jobs. It's because they bring value to their community. So if you're a senator for a state, you want to make sure that your state's doing good. That's how you keep getting hired. In fact, that's going to be the number one determination on who wins elections moving up. You see, you know, listen, Trump is the president now. If the economy goes bad, Republicans are going to lose, right? If the economy goes good, they'll have a good shot at winning. That's just how it goes. The economy matters. So make sure the economy works. Make sure that people feel jobs. That is helpful. In fact, I mean, we could just look at the last election where Zoran Mandani, New Jersey, Virginia, all went blue. Why? Because inflation is up, job loss is happening, people are afraid for their future. So what happens? They vote for the other guy, right? So that's reason one. And I think that makes sense. Guys, we're paying attention. We're filing this bipartisan bill for AI, because we're on top of it. So that's one reason, okay? Two, they're concerned about unchecked power of big tech companies. They want to say, hey, tech companies, we're watching you. You're firing a bunch of Americans and you're hiring robots. What's going on? So that's another part, okay? There's also this idea, and I've seen this comment a lot. By the way, I read all the comments, so I'm in tune with what you guys are saying. That's how I choose videos. That's how I kind of decide where things are going. But AI washing is a real thing too. And this is something that you guys say quite a bit, that firms are laying off people and they're blaming it on AI when maybe it's not necessarily AI as the main reason. Maybe it's because they had a bad quarter, or maybe it's because they want to hire more people from overseas. These are all reasons that people speculate. For me, I'm looking at data, I'm looking at the numbers, I'm just looking from personal experience at how powerful AI and automation tools are now, and then also realizing this is the worst the tools are going to be. They're only going to get better. One of the things, and I don't want to go off on huge side notes here, is that companies like Salesforce, for example, will lay off 45% of their customer service staff. Recorded a video on that too. Yes, they did. They fired 45% of the customer service staff. And why did they say they do that? They did that because they realized that AI automations and voice was just capable of solving a lot of their problems more quickly. And if they do that, other companies are going to do that. Another video I covered, post a link to it here. McDonald's has screened 64 million job applications. So they don't have human HR workers reviewing job applications. They have AI reviewing job applications. Again, check out that video here. And you know, why does that matter? Because if and when you get fired, submitting a resume through Indeed ain't gonna get it done, boys. You're gonna be just sent into a huge pot of AI slop. You're not gonna get an interview that way. Anyway, maybe that's something we can talk about in the future. So there's AI washing. Those are three. But here, guys, this is the real reason. And I know you've been waiting. If you've been waiting all this time, thank you. I'm glad you're here. You matter. You are relevant. You are created in the image of God. You are very, very important. Okay. But here's the reason. Okay. Here's the reason why they are together on this bill. It's because there is an AI and robotics tax coming. You want to fire humans and implement AI, you are going to be taxed on that. And I guarantee you this is going to happen sometime within the next 12 to 18 months. Would you agree with that or disagree? Would you agree or disagree? This is going to happen. There is going to be a tax on companies that are replacing humans with AI. 100% guaranteed this will happen. And there are some pros and cons to this. And by the way, that's why they want to get these reports now, so that they have the data to understand how it's happening. They can reverse engineer it. They can say, okay, we need $10 billion to support our initiatives. How much do we need to tax these companies for doing that? That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to collect the data so they can reverse engineer to figure out how to actually implement a bill to tax AI and robotics. It's 100% going to happen. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to put it in the comments below, but I would be shocked if you disagree with that. But there are some pros and cons to this, and I just want to cover them briefly here before we close down, guys. So one of the pros, it's going to help to offset the job loss. Companies are going to have to think twice before they replace a human being like you that has a family, that has a mouth, that is a valuable part of their community. They're going to have to think twice before they fire you for a robot, because they're going to have an AI tax on that. It's going to increase their corporate responsibility, okay, which kind of revolves around that as well. It's also going to help ease people into the new AI. So the cash that they are going to collect from those taxes potentially could be put back into welfare programs to help people that get laid off and displaced. Because I believe that you are able to adapt. I believe that you will be able to learn new skills. I believe that you can make a difference in this new world. But the problems you're solving today are going to be different than the problems you're solving in the future. And I've covered this in a lot of videos. It's different for everyone, but the best thing you can do right now, get on the phone, call someone you respect, that you like, that you haven't spoken to in a while. Keep the connections going, guys. The relationships are going to matter a lot, okay? Cons. What are the cons of the AI robot tax? Well, bureaucracy in general, it slows things down. It creates bloat. You need some of it, but too much of it, when it's overdone, becomes a big problem. We're also, guys, in a global competition against countries like China. So if China is all gas, no brakes, and we're pumping the brakes, it's going to slow us down in a major competition. And you don't want, I mean, the bottom line here, and this is kind of why we're seeing this huge race forward, is you want to be the first company or the first country to AGI, because your defense systems are going to be more accurate. You're going to be able to create better data. Everything is going to be better if you're the first country to AGI. There's this belief that there's going to be an exponential curve. If you are not first, you are last when it comes to AGI. So by pumping the brakes on companies deploying this, are you putting yourself at a disadvantage? Something to think about. But here's the biggest con, and I recorded this in a video a couple days ago. This is important, guys. It's because these taxes and these fees always bloat. What they end up doing is they create an over-reliance on the population on these programs. And when you're too overly reliant on a government program, you are at risk. Again, we talked about this the other day. SNAP and food stamps and these food benefits are, in my opinion, this problem personified. I know some people disagree with my take, and that's fine. But here's the problem, guys. What SNAP has exposed is that a government shutdown, a bunch of dudes and chicks in a room disagree on something, whatever it is, whatever they're disagreeing on, healthcare, which is important, by the way, but they have disagreements on how to create a budget. Because they disagree and they shut down the government, whether it's anti-Trump, I'm not even going to get into all the details of that because it's complicated and I don't know all the details, but they disagree on something. They shut down the government. Guys, there are 43 million people on SNAP, 43 million Americans on food stamps. So what happens when you are too reliant on that AI tax to provide you with food, with shelter, etc.? What happens when that rug gets pulled out from under you? That is an exposure I'm not willing to have. I want to remain relevant, respected, financially free. So, long story short, Keep upskilling, keep using the new tools, keep testing, be public, talk to your boss, talk to your manager, tell them where you want to go. Take all the skills that you've learned up to this point and then think about and figure out where is this going next? What happens next? I talked about this in the Snap video. I'm going to cover it here. I've been in marketing, I've been in blogging, YouTube, podcasting for a long time. And that market has changed dramatically. The next level of SEO is answer engine optimization. It's how do I get ChatGPT and Perplexity and Grok, how do I get those LLMs to recommend my company and my services? It's different than traditional Google. And in my experience in the past with YouTube, with blogging, with podcasting, we can adapt that, we can make some tweaks, and then all of a sudden we can create better results for clients and customers when it comes to answer engine optimization. So that's a way that I'm taking skills that I've built in the past and taking them to the next level. And that's the way that I would encourage you to think. What are the skills that I already have? How can I evolve them? Not a ton, but how can I evolve them a little bit so that I'm still relevant in my workplace? That's it, guys. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, you will like yesterday's video where we talk about IBM. Guys, IBM, big company, you've probably heard of them. They are laying off thousands and thousands of employees. Why? You're going to have to watch the video to find out, boys. I'll see you there. Peace.